What's up guys, and today I bring you a Tootsietoy. Now, I completely forgot to start filming and started working on this because a lot of the cars I've worked on so far I haven't filmed. And suddenly remembered I was going to film this. So I haven't actually seen a Tootsietoy being restored on the internet before, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to restore this. Now, what I went ahead and did is, if you watch Mass Restorations, you know what I did. I took a Dremel and cut off the burr on the end of the axle on this side, and then I put it in a drill and ran it against some sandpaper, which made them look nice and shiny because these were pretty rusty when I started. I put the wheels back in, I think, the positions they were before. You can see they have paint on them. I'm gonna have to put some kind of black paint or wash on them. And this was kind of customized by probably one of my cousins, because this is where I got them from my cousins. When they grew up, they didn't want any of their old toys anymore, and I got a bunch of them, and this was in with them. But anyway, I'm gonna try to restore this to its original color, which is red, and I'm gonna try to get these wheels to the axles rather to get reformed, so it looks like it's brand new. So next step is to take these axles back off and the wheels off, and then to paint strip the body. It's time to strip the paint on this. Now, what I use for paint stripper is this safer paint remover, and it works actually really well. It probably doesn't work as well as the paint strippers that you see the bigger YouTubers using, but my dad got this for when he fixed the desk up for my sisters, so this is what I use. But just gotta sort it all on there and come back to it in a half an hour, and it should, in a half an hour, make all this paint peel right off. See you in a half an hour. That came off the Tootsietoy. Now, they got paint on them from when they were repainted by my cousins, and I was thinking about trying to repaint them, but now when I look at them, they're in great condition, and the other side of the wheels have almost no problem. That's just some dirt on there. So I'm thinking I'm gonna just wash these off and then put them on the opposite direction, and they should look absolutely fine, because you'll never see the other side of the wheel because it'll be against the posts that have been crimped to hold the axles. So I'm probably just gonna wash these up and put them on the other direction. It took a lot of coats of paint, but I finally got the rest of the paint off of this Tootsietoy. It took a very long time, and I had to use a lot of different tools to help me. I used files, pins, brushes, center punch screws, even a fishing hook, but finally got almost all the paint off of it. Still see there's tiny chips paint here and there left. But I also noticed a few issues with the casting. You can even see still there's a little bit, like, this will focus right there in the edges of the windows. It's not very even, and the edges here, it's not quite right, down by the wheel wells. And to be honest, a lot of these would be in from the factory, and I'm trying to make this car not stand out that terribly much. I'm gonna make them look okay, but I'm not gonna probably make them look perfect. I did do some stuff regarding the front, because some of these panel lines here were almost invisible or had spots blocking them, like this one even still has some blocking it, the second one from the top. But I tried to clear those up a little bit with the file, and I'm gonna do a little bit more around the windows, and then maybe sand this edge here a little more, and the edge on this side too. But other than that, should be ready for some primers, so we'll see in a minute. So as I was working, I realized there was a big pit here, and I put some JB Weld on that, and now it's time to sand it off. So it is now time to prime the Tootsietoy. The primer I'm going to use is this Tamiya Fine Primer, and I just got it in the mail along with the tripod that I'm currently using, so I can use both my hands now. But yeah, so let's see how that works out. First time using this stuff. So this is what the Tootsietoy looks like after the primer's been placed on it. It's not terribly great, but not terribly bad. Forgive me, it's my second time ever using primer. My first time was worse than this by far, so now it's time to paint it up. Well, my airbrush completely malfunctioned, and I got left with this monstrosity, because if you notice here, there's a shiny spot in the back, and the rest is all rough, orange peely. And on the roof, there's some smooth spots and some not smooth spots, and same on the back, because I really didn't even get to completely finish painting, because my airbrush stopped working. I'm probably going to try to get some wet sandpaper and sand the paint down a little bit, and then put a second coat on over top. I really don't know if it'll work or not, but hopefully it will, because if not, then I'll just strip everything. This is what I'm left with after the paint. It's not perfect, but it came out a lot better than it did the first time. As you can see, it's got a nice glimmer to it. The light shines off it quite nice. As you can see, the bottom edge, though, didn't come out perfect, because I think that's mainly because Tootsietoy has a very rough casting, and on the bottom of the casting, it's especially rough right on all these edges. Unfortunately, you can still see some casting issues, like the one I tried to JB weld up didn't quite work out, but it's much better than it was the first time. And even though it does have the slightest bit of orange peel still, that's probably because my airbrush isn't quite right yet. I have to figure out how to get it completely better, but it let me finish the paint job this time. But I don't think it's too bad. Tootsietoys were never perfect, and definitely far from perfect. Their castings were always quite rough, as I've observed at least. There are probably some that look pretty good, but all the ones that I own are pretty rough, the castings themselves, including this one. I think it looks very original, and it'll hopefully look really good on the shelf next to my other near mini Tootsietoys. The next step will be to attempt to put the wheels back on the model. This will be interesting because it will be my first time trying to put wheels on. I'll have to design a tool to reform the axles to hold the wheels in place. With my drill press, I was able to make some tools to reform the axles. I just dropped it, but anyway. I tried with the bolts, but they were too large, so I used the nails. But unfortunately, the edges of the body kind of prevented the nails from getting on the axles well. At least one of them, it did that. But I think it looks actually pretty good, because with Tootsietoy wheels, they kind of stay in place on the axle, and they usually the axle tends to spin with the wheels. I mean, that's probably not supposed to happen, but there's really no way to fix that, because almost every Tootsietoy I've ever seen has been doing that. And I even tried to oil this one, and it still does that. So the wheels aren't going to fall off. And one of them I was able to remove the point on the end of the axle from the Dremel, but the other one still kind of looks the same because I was hitting the body instead of the axle. But I did repaint the edges of the body where the paint was knocked off, which really wasn't too bad. So hopefully it all looks good. So as you can see, the truck looked pretty bad when we started. It was totally painted over, and it really didn't look too good. But now, it looks like this. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I did making this possible, and I hope to make many more cars like this in the future. This car looked terrible, and now it looks beautiful. I hope you liked, and you'll leave a like, and you'll subscribe for more. As for me, I'm putting this car on the shelf, and it's time to start on the next project.